There are those that are embracing these signs and wonders seen in the natural realm that seek to deceive even the elect, if possible. When if these had come to know of this mind of Christ, this anointed mind in their spirit, it would be impossible for them to be deceived. Now you understand why it's written that God sends them. Hear that? God sends them strong delusion. This strong delusion is this evil being cast down to them, being kicked out of heaven for the final battle to be seen in a material created world, as our Father had told us in a series of videos. Don't be distracted, deceived by the noise of iniquity being cast out of heaven. What the Father has shared to me and others has taught us to share what comes up out of the historical stories we find in the Old Testament. A time of this mystery once hidden, now being revealed, giving us the ability to flip human history into the other side of this great divide, once unknown. The first example comes up out of the book of Daniel, chapters 8 and 9. Without our getting distracted by this natural historical event, I will not be getting too much into the historical fact. I will assume that you have read these historical facts so that I can reveal how they, at that time, could not see what was really happening coming from the eternal realm. Daniel has what's called a vision, one that this mind of Christ in his spirit could see of that eternal realm, a mystery to Daniel's natural mind at that time. Notice that symbols are used to keep this a mystery. We see nations viva symbols like rams, goats, and so forth. This vision is describing an eternal battle taking place in the eternal realm at first, then with it being flipped to the natural realm. Now, assuming that you've read chapter 8 of Daniel, take notice to verse 15. And it came to pass, when I, even I, Daniel, had seen the vision and sought for the meeting, then behold, there stood before me as the appearance of a man. And I heard a man's voice between the banks of Ulai, which called and said, Gabriel, make this man to understand the vision. This man is the Son of God, the glorified Son of Man, Jesus. Now notice that this man says to the angel Gabriel, explain what's happening in this battle in the eternal realm, using Daniel's limited mind being a captive in Babylon under the reign of King Belshazzar, who succeeded King Nebuchadnezzar at that time of this vision. So Gabriel, who is participating in this battle, playing out in the eternal realm, can see its winnings and its losses that later get expressed in the natural realm. Now understand, this mystery to Daniel was not hidden to the angels at that time. They knew what they knew as it played out in the eternal realm, according to what's called the now, the eternal now. Long before this mystery was manifested in the fullness of time. So you see this angel taking what he was experiencing in the eternal realm, flipping it to created time of the present day of Daniel and his near future, clean on up to the very ending battle of our times that are and will be played out in the natural created world of our day. I'm going to give you this verses from chapter 8 of Daniel in the closing of this video, so that you can see this angel doing this. He reveals what's going on in this eternal world, how Babylon falls into this. He reveals how Babylon falls to the kings of Media and Persia. Then later, that kingdom falling to Greece and Alexander the Great, then appears to jump over Rome as resting some end-time dictator. Just notice, Rome never really fell, as all these other nations fell. So this appearance to skip over Rome isn't the case. This angel is seeing Rome, past and future, as one world, last power, which we are seeing unfold before our eyes this very day. It's been called the revived Roman Empire, or as the New World Order, a global reset by humanity having the Antichrist as its leader. This is the noise of iniquity, once found in an angelic being called Lucifer, that this video is warning us about. That noise is being heard worldwide, with science having a clue from where it's coming from. They will soon not only hear the new sound of this iniquity, but see this mystery of iniquity revealed in an unexpected world. Here's these verses from Daniel chapter 8. The angels revealing this ram, a symbol. Verse 20. The ram which you saw with 2 horns represents the kings of Media and Persia. Then he describes this goat, this symbol. The shaggy, rough-coated male goat represents the kingdom of Greece, and the great horn between his eyes is the first king, which is Alexander. Regarding the shattered horn and the 4 others that arose in its place, 4 kingdoms will rise from his, Alexander's, nation, although not with his power and heritage. A lot of good videos out on that. The fall of Greece, Alexander being subdivided into 4 different groups with less power than what Alexander had. Verse 23. At the latter period of their reign of Greece, when the transgressors have finished, a king will arise. This is speaking of Rome. A king will be like Caesar. That's why I say Rome never really fell. We have what's called today the revived Roman Empire. A coming Caesar, thinking he to play God's coming. A king will rise, insolent and skilled in intrigue and cunning. His power will be mighty, but not by his own power. And he will corrupt and destroy in an astonishing manner. And he will prosper and do exactly as he wills. He shall corrupt and destroy mighty men and the holy people, Israel. And through his shrewdness, he will cause deceit to succeed by his hand, his influence, and will magnify himself in his mind. He will corrupt and destroy many who enjoy a false sense of security. He will also stand up. He will stand up and oppose the Prince of Princes, the coming Christ. He will be broken, and that by no man's hand, but by the hand of God. The last verse, verse 26. The vision of the evenings and the mornings, which have been told to you, Daniel, is true. But keep the vision a secret, for it has to do with many days in the now distant future. Verse 27. And I, Daniel, was exhausted and was sick for several days. Afterwards I got up and continued with the king's business, but I was astounded at the vision, and there was no one who could explain it. We've had it explained to us. Our fathers explain it today. In my last video on this series of the sequence of eternal events called The Mystery of the Great Divide, I want to give that closing excerpt from that video to conclude this video. Sequence of eternal events unaware to many will soon spill over, revealing an unseen real battle that will make our current wars go silent. In the shocking reality, what causes these events in the seen world being played out in created time and space, so that what once was denied will now be undeniable. Here's that excerpt in conclusion. Getting past the distracting sounds of skirmishes of war and battles being fought between nations today, there are sounds we are only beginning to hear. Sounds which were once only heard, yet one day will be seen. Like the old saying, where there's smoke, there's fire. Though now only a solid rumbling, hard to define, it has been told to call it the opening of the Great Divide. The opening of a one-time great divide that separated that eternal realm, unseen, from this temporal world that we see today. An eternal place of sequence of events that once fought, spilling over into our seen world that will play out in a final battle between the forces of good and evil which we have only imagined in our worst nightmares. The Great Divide. This is a video graphic of that divide and the spiller that's coming. What once was unseen and not believed will be seen and undeniable. Things once only imagined and called science fiction become real, causing the hearts and minds of humanity to fail them, being unable to stop what they once denied. Things which some, unaware, have opened portals to realms that were not to be opened. Once open, cannot be shut. All this was done in the name of science and its hope of gaining something denied to them, having this world and this whole universe subjected to vanity and sense of unreality. These, unaware, assisted in drawing from that eternal realm an evil that had in that eternal realm sought to destroy that eternal world and its plans to express that realm in a created material world That's what we call earth. This evil that had denied their very existence through lies and false promises offered them this kingdom on earth, taking the place of God their Father, unaware, leading them to believe that it was their Father. Believe this or not, this is where these videos will lead you and get you to take the offer of an escape for what is soon to be revealed to this unexpected world, or advise you to take the offer while you can. Many won't. You have to have a free will. God your Father gave it to you in hope that you would come to see and believe what he had offered to his Son, coming to you as a Son of Man. His name was Jesus.